Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the CFCTALK podcast. It's me, Alex. I'll be your host for tonight, looking over the satisfying win over Crystal Palace. And I gotta say, we definitely needed that after after the recent results. I'm joined tonight by my usual co-host, Amart. It's great to have you on again.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on. Let's power through this without
So
Mohammed.
there's definitely a Mohammed-sized hole in our podcasting lineup, and whilst is whilst his exams are important, I do think I would have loved to have him on to have to look over this amazing 4-0 win, especially after the seeming, I don't know, it seems like we've had a bit of negativity thrown around the club recently. So it's definitely brings a smile to my face when when you go out and beat a Palace side that wasn't that has been in form. So yeah, Mark, how I've got to say how did this result coming out of the game? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, and it was the first game. Usually, when Chelsea plays first, in the league, probably 11:30. This is 11:30, 12:30 games. It dictates how my day goes. So if we win, my day is okay. Even though I might have good news and stuff and during the day, if Chelsea wins in the morning, it puts it puts like a bad cloud over my day. But when Chelsea wins, everything is just sunshine and roses. And today was one of those days. We 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 did very well. I didn't really expect a performance like that, but we were in full control of the game from first half to second half, and I was excited. I was
Speaking of
excited with the
sunshines
with the win.
and roses, I definitely would buy a rose for Ben Chilwell. I was just so happy. It was I can't. I think most Chelsea fans can say the same that our new signings, particularly tonight, really. Or I mean, to be fair, you could say Mendy didn't have much to do, but I think the day was all about Ben Chilwell and to some extent, I guess, Jorginho with his fantastic penalties. But yeah, the result really, I think, just made the day of every Chelsea fan, especially after all the results. And I gotta say, I don't think our early kickoff record is that good. I don't know. I have lots of bad memories of us losing to Everton or something in the on early kickoffs. I'm not so much of a fan of, or no, I guess for fans who live in unlucky time zones, it's not the best experience. But I don't know. I'll take a 3 o'clock kickoff over this one. But yeah, I mean, speaking of Chilwell and I mean Lampard giving his the Premier League debuts out to Mendy and Chilwell. What were your impressions on the starting lineup?
Yeah, the lineup. There was one surprise in the lineup, which was I think actually two surprises. Aspi in for Reese, and then Mount dropped this time, given a bit of a rest, a deserved rest. I'll add, because he's played all our games, if I'm not mistaken, and he deserved it. He deserved to rest in this game. He deserved to have a break. So apart from, and then Pulisic on the bench was also nice to see. Very, 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 very nice to have him back. Probably our next game, Ziyech will be back for us, and then we can have a full squad again. But yeah, we saw the new boys, Thiago Silva, Mendy, Chilwell, Havertz, and Werner all in one game. So that alone was very, very exciting. So just top it off with Pulisic and then Ziyech in our next game. Then we'll have all these players back and playing together. Something I didn't think I'll see this season. I'll see often this season, but it looks like it's becoming a reality. So that lineup was okay for me, and yeah, I think it was
Yeah, I
okay.
think given the circumstances of Mount having not the best day at the office and needing some rest for this one, I mean personally I think it was probably the almost I think given the personnel and the condition of like how Pulisic is still getting back into the game and how Kova I think played a full 90, I think, against Spurs. I think it was to me it was the perfect lineup. I guess you could say you could argue that Reece James it would have been nice to have Reece James on for a bit more attacking threat. But when we score 4 goals without Reece James's crossing ability, I gotta say really, I mean, it's a good sight for sure because we seem to rely a lot on his crossing ability. So it's it's a sight for sore eyes. But and
Yeah,
I to-
exactly. And with the sorry, and with the crossing ability issue, you see, last season we didn't really have that many players who could cross a ball into that box. I think it was only Reese that was doing that, and then no one was at the end to finish them. This season, fortunately, we have Chilwell with some excellent crosses, and soon we'll have Ziyech also as well with also who is very very good at crossing the ball. So yeah, we have an abundance of talent this season, and I'm just excited to see what we can do.
I am too. I mean, we'll get to the international break and beyond towards the end of the episode. But I gotta say, I mean, when you score 4 goals without Hakim Ziyech and you still got all the new signings coming in, it's this result is just it means a lot more than just getting a win. It's kind of put us back on a positive path, I think, and yeah, things are only going to come up from here. So yeah, going
Yeah,
past the
exactly.
lineup and we'll get into the first half. It seemed a bit, I don't know. We were creating a couple of chances, but just yeah, it wasn't really happening. And apparently, I mean, I saw Sport Bible, which is just I think it's one of those typical Facebook pages for sport Facebook pages that has uh, quite a following. They wrote an article on Chilwell after 30 minutes of the first half, saying how uh, he had played really badly. And then sorry, saying that he had played really badly and that he because and they put it down to the fact that he couldn't speak the French language. And then in the next hour and a half or hour or so, he puts in a goal, assist, and man of the match performance. Oh, it's just satisfying.
Yeah, I think I tried to stay off Twitter in the first half, but after the first half, I checked and I saw Scorecard. Scorecard also did a similar Scorecard football on uh, Twitter. Things an analysis and stats page. They put on Twitter that Chilwell has lost possession more than any other Chelsea player, like indicating that he had a bad performance in the first half. And I don't think he lost that much possession because they had a lot of flack underneath the replies. Everybody was saying that no, that's not a good representation of the game because the reason why he lost the balls, he lost those, he had the most possessions lost was because he was whipping crosses in that weren't reaching the the targets. So definitely those ones will count as lost possession. But it seems like there were a lot of people on Chilwell's case, especially with the stats websites and stuff like that, like you said, the Sports Bible and all those ones. They were a lot. They were on Chilwell's case, but he turned them around, and they kind of had an egg on their face because they brought back that option, that tweets that they posted, and they were like, the motivation. This was the motivation Chilwell needed, and people just blasted them underneath, and it was just nice to see because he did very very well. He the first half he was one of the few players that impressed me the most because he was going forward, and the energy he has, the energy and the space, the pace that he has. I haven't really seen a lot of that from him. Probably it's because it's in a new team, so he wants to give his best and um prove Lampard right. So yeah, but he really really impressed in the first half, and in the second half he was just excellent.
Great, yeah, it's satisfying too when you've got the doubters on your back. It's quite an easy target when you have a 50 million price tag. And maybe he checked some tweets at half time, saw the Sports Bible article, and he was like, right, I'm gonna go and shut these guys up and get some goals. But moving further forward, we had a couple of good moments in the first half. There was one where I think Havertz was driving through the midfield, and we had 4 guys, including Havertz. So Havertz was dribbling with the ball forward, and I think there must have been Werner, Havertz, Tammy, and Hudson-Odoi all sprinting forward towards the Palace defence. And then
Yeah,
I don't know how Havertz even saw the ball if I'm honest, to Werner. He kind of played it where Werner had some space in front of him just outside the penalty box. Werner plays it, sorry, Havertz played it into Werner, and then Werner could only just shoot it right at the keeper. It was a bit frustrating, but it was nice to see. It was good to see some of that Havertz decision making, which I think he's made a name for himself pretty much out of his really strong footballing IQ and obviously his goals and assists. So that was good to see. But
Yeah,
I mean, we had a couple of shots on target, but yeah.
yeah,
Anything else you?
yeah. I think I remember that chance. I think that I wrote that chance down here. I think it was in the 18th minute, and that was one of the few chances that we had to break on the counter because um Crystal Palace defend very, very well. That wall that they had, that wall of defenders, they stood strong in throughout the first half, and they only broke down. They only opened up after Chilwell's goal. So yeah, that was one of the. I think that was the only counter-attacking chance that we had, and Havertz. I don't know whether probably Werner was the right choice because Tammy was also free on his right, and the pass to Tammy would have been shorter than the pass to Werner. But yeah, like you said, Werner's shot on target was just disappointing because he could have at least probably um stepped to the right a bit and placed a better shot. And it seems like apart from the goal that he scored at Spurs, it seems like most of his shots have been weak shots. Like his shots on targets have been weak shots. Probably, I think against West Brom, he had a cracking shot that was saved by the keeper, which was also good. But we know him to have powerful shots, but we've not seen it yet. And with Werner, I think he will need more time to probably grow into himself in the Premier League. But for now, his performances are average. Okay, this is not the Werner that we know, but it's average. And we have time. We have time, and we have to be patient with him. But that was a great chance too. And we like you said, we also had another chance. Tammy also had a chance in the 7th minute. Yeah, I think I wrote that one too down. And it was a headed chance, and he headed it a little bit wide, and also from across. I think it was Callum or Chilwell. One of them crossed the ball to him, and he headed it a bit wide. I think that was just one of the two of the few
Yeah,
chances we had
I
in the
think it
first
was
half.
Hudson-Odoi. I think Callum who put it in for. And I remember it was yeah,
Okay.
it was close. It was kind of a glancing header. But yeah, I agree with the Werner point. I think a lot of people will expect him. Oh, he got like a ridiculous number of goals in the Bundesliga, so he's automatically gonna do that for Chelsea. But it is a completely different system, and he is kind of basically being played as a left winger, which it's it, I I really can't wait for him to be played at central striker eventually because it's just he's not a typical winger. He's just he's a killer at the end of the day. He's just this guy who's a striker that plays a bit on the left sided or a bit. He's a left sided striker really, drifts a bit further wide, but he's not this creator kind of playmaker guy. He's just this whole killer. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I get it. It's frustrating as well to that he's not getting a ridiculous number of goals, but there's not much pressure on him. I mean, there is pressure, of course, because we paid good money for him, but it's not like he's got time, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah. He is. And then with the you see, I think Lampard wants to continue playing Abraham. That's why Werner is playing on the left, and I think Werner he's been good on the left, but yeah, we all know his best position is as the main striker. But Lampard wants to like include Abraham in the mix somehow. But probably if Ziyech comes back, um, Werner will move to the middle, and then Pulisic and Ziyech will be on his side. So I don't know. Probably it's because Ziyech isn't back. That's why he's playing there. So probably Ziyech comes back, he will move back to the middle. Then he can be rotated with Abraham.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about how you would see lineup being affected or the attacking lineup at least being affected when Ziyech comes back, and for sure, I mean, considering the international break, we're going to have Ziyech coming back, hopefully match fit. We're going to have Pulisic coming back. And then I cannot wait for our game against Southampton that we've got just after the break. It's going to be I don't know how we're going to be able to do our predicted lineups for that because let's be honest, it could be anything in attack. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
But
It's true.
it looked like, at least at the start of the second half, we were definitely. I mean, we're getting more shots on target for sure. And I don't know, maybe we just kind of went up a gear and started. I mean, to be fair, we did get a bit lucky with the penalties, but Hudson-Odoi, I think in the second half, um, I think would you agree that Hudson-Odoi raised his game a bit in the second half when it came to taking people on?
Yeah, yeah, I think he did. I think almost everybody apart from, let's say, Kai. Kai was already good in the first half, so he just maintained that standard. But Kai and Kante, they were good in the first half, very very good. A couple of other players were also good, but I think generally the team just raised their game in the second half. And yeah, Callum was also one of those players that he took more players on, and I think there was this one cross that he made to Tammy after the second goal had already been scored, and then Tammy almost scored with that one. He took that defender on, and we're like, yeah, that is what a winger is supposed to do. That's something we're not seeing from Mount and Werner because they are not natural wingers. So yeah, he did very very well. He was one of our standout performances.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it was he who. Oh, I can't remember who won the penalties actually. It was.
No, no, no. The first one was won by Tammy, and the second one was won by
Yes,
Kai.
yes, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, but I mean, even still, I thought, yeah, I think we both agree that Hudson-Odoi still raised his game, and like you say, Havertz, he was great throughout, as being running through in field, getting like making good decisions and doing well to win that penalty. I think he put, I can't remember if he put the ball through the Palace defender's legs, but yeah, he did, and
Yeah,
then just yeah,
yeah,
expertly won with a pen.
yeah. I just love, to be honest, I just love seeing Havertz play. There's this kind of soothing way he plays. There's this kind of comfortable, confident gameplay from him. He doesn't rush. He doesn't act necessarily. It was like everything that he does is really calculated, and he moves as if, I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to even put it. It's like a pianist playing piano with no exertion, just going through the notes. And I think that's what he did during the game. He just flowed through the game very very well. And apart from, let's say, Chilwell having a standout performance, I think he would be our probably second or third standout performer because he was just amazing. The way he took the ball on, the way he beat his players, the way he he laid passes on and all that. He was just fantastic. Plus winning the penalty in the second half was just um it was just fun to see. There's something about his play that it's just like a therapeutic session. You just see him play and you are just relaxed. He's on the ball and you are just you are calm because you in the first half especially I didn't see anyone dispossessing. When we came back from the second half, yeah, I saw one or two players dispossessing, but in the first half when he had the ball, nobody could dispossess him because he played in a cool and calm, like a relaxed manner. Even though the defenders were on him, they just come and then he just dribbles them and it was just
I
amazing to
agree.
see.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we haven't seen something like that. That amazing that decision making and the just the fact the ball's just glued to his feet. I don't think we've seen something like that really since Hazard. Anyway, it just kind of gave me those Hazard vibes in a way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like you see with Hazard, you were very confident that when he had the ball, nobody could take it away from him. It's the same thing we also feel with Havertz. Probably Havertz doesn't have the skill to drive through low block defense like Hazard. I think that one falls with Pulisic. But Havertz has that kind of composure, that calm composure. When he has the ball, no one can take it off him, and that is very similar to
And it's
Hazard.
crazy that the guy is only 21 years old and he's just he looks like pretty much a world class player or yeah. I mean, to me, he does. He looks amazing. So it's crazy that he's only going to get better. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He reminds me a bit of early Messi, not the skillful, not the skillful aspect, but like the early Messi days where you know that like with Hazard, the early Messi days when you know that when this guy has the ball, nobody can take it away from him, and he just oozes that kind of skill. Even though he's not, like I said, he's not skillful like Hazard in beating defenders and breaking through defenses, but that composure he has on him about him when he has the ball is just it's
It
just
really
there.
is. And aside from Havertz, the goal, I mean, a lot of our goals relied on crosses, I think, as well. The Chilwell one was, I can't remember if it was Aspi or Hudson-Odoi that put in the cross, but then Tammy flicked over. I can't remember. I think it was Tammy. It may have been the Palace defender that the cross kind of rebounded off the back of, and then it fell straight to Chilwell, and then fantastic volley from Chilwell for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that was an amazing strike. I think the Palace. I have to start learning these players. There, I think I have to start remembering their names because I remember their names during the game, but I don't write anything down. Then when I'm talking, I just space out on their name. But the Palace defender was supposed to clear it. Hudson-Odoi tried beating him, and he lost possession. And the Palace defender was supposed to clear it, but he didn't. There was some miscommunication between the two of them, and then the ball was loose. And then Aspi tried to take a shot, but I think it ricocheted off one of the Palace defenders and fell straight to what's the name? I think it was it? Yeah. It ricocheted onto the head of Tammy, and Tammy headed it. I think headed it backwards to Chilwell. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but he kind of headed it backwards to Chilwell or something like that, and Chilwell just struck the ball in. And that strike was fantastic. I don't think Guaita had any chance of saving that ball.
It was a rocket.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was Alonso.
It was. Alonso has underrated volleying as well. So it was good to see. And Chilwell put in a good cross as well for Zuma's goal. It was a nice, decent header from Zuma as well.
Yeah, that was also a very, very fantastic goal. Chilwell's performance throughout the game was just amazing to see. He was on his game. He knew. You see, the good thing about Chilwell, and I think Lampard also, that was one of the reasons why Lampard also wanted him, was because he was already used to the Premier League. He already knew how to play in the Premier League. He knew how difficult it was. He knew how much of pressure it was. He knew how difficult it was. I think he even said at the end of the game, he was interviewed, and I think he said that he hasn't played in the other leagues, but he knows the Premier League is a little bit different from the other leagues. So he was even saying that players like Havertz and Werner still need time to be able to adjust properly to the league, and I think he already knows the league, so that's also a plus for him.
Yeah, it just seems like I don't know. It's weird. Like most of the defenders nowadays, when you shell out 50 million on them, it seems like, I don't know, maybe it's a cursed fee, but lots of 50 million defenders seem to flop nowadays. So it's refreshing to see that we haven't actually overspent, and yeah, really happy for the guy. And then Jorginho too, with putting in some decent penalties, not missing gladly.
Yeah.
After, I think that was his first miss against Liverpool in his career, or I think at least Chelsea career.
I think that was his first miss in the Premier League for us, because he had already missed in the Carabao final against City. So I think that was the second time he missed for Chelsea, but that was the first time in the Premier League. And the funny thing about that penalty was, I think after he took that penalty, I think Bruno Fernandes was interviewed about how he took his penalties, and he said he doesn't understand why people think it's an easy thing to do, but it's difficult. That kind of technique is very difficult to achieve. And then the next penalty he took, he didn't do the hop and skip technique. He just blasted into the net. Bruno did that, and it was just funny for me to see, because I think he didn't want to risk it again. But I think he will do it again. I've never been a fan of that technique, to be honest. I've never been a fan of Jorginho's penalty technique. I've never been a fan of it, but it's always good to see it go in. I've never been a fan of it because I felt like definitely somebody will be able to figure it out. Somebody will be able to do something about it. I think I said it in the Liverpool review that I remember Hazard also had a particular way of taking penalties, a cool, calm, collected way of taking penalties when he started for Chelsea. But the moment he missed one, he started blasting it into the net. And I think, you see, I don't know whether I noticed, but with the penalties Jorginho took today, there was some power behind the shot. He still did the hop and skip, but there was some power behind the shot. And I think that was the reason why he missed against Liverpool. The power behind the shot wasn't enough. He would have scored if he had added more power to the shot. So the same hop and skip technique, but the power added to the shot was the factor. So probably from now on, and then he will just improve. I wouldn't mind seeing that same hop and skip thing, but I'm not a fan of it. But if he scores, then
It's a risky one for sure.
it's
Like,
all good.
in the ones that he's missed or it's been saved, I think it was the Capital one. It was the cup final a couple of years ago where Edison got it, and then the Alisson one last month. And it only happens when the keeper stays central, and then Jorginho doesn't put enough power on it, or he doesn't put it in the corner enough, and then that's when that's when
Yeah,
that's the only time that's the only way that it's possible for him to miss. But I'm sure he'll learn from it.
yeah,
Let's let's move on.
yeah.
Sorry, one
I
last
th-
you guys. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to ask what you thought about the Abraham couple
I was
with
going to get
the
into that when we
penalty.
talked about the Abraham ratings, but Abraham's rating. But let's
Oh, okay, okay,
yeah, let's
okay.
save the reader some suspense.
Then we can. I think we can wait. We
Yeah,
can wait till then.
sure. But before we get to Abraham, let's go. We're going to go through the ratings and the man of the match, and we'll start from the back. So what was your take overall on Mendy's performance today?
Yeah, like should we give a number
Let's go
or
with
we
the rate.
just
Sorry, I phrased that a bit wrong, I think. Let's go with how if you were going to rate Mendy's performance and maybe justify it, but not not so long because for our listeners, I don't want you to have a 3 hour podcast. Although it would probably be a lot of fun for us, but yeah, I uh, but yeah, let's go with if you were going to rate and
the rate.
but you can justify it, but not so much. Or yeah, you can justify it.
Yeah. So with Mendy, like he didn't really have a, a busy game though. So I gave him a 6. Not because it's a low. The 6 was my lowest uh rating that I gave out. 6 because he wasn't really challenged and he wasn't really disturbed that much. But there was one shot or cross that came in. I don't remember who it was. I think it was from Zaha, and he cleared his lines and he saved that shot, and he did very well in that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I remember exactly the one you're talking about. I think it was Sohan. You put in the cross. Like it wasn't really a shot, but it wasn't a good cross, but it was still threatening. So it was a good thing from him. And I'm gonna go a 6.5 just because he didn't really have much to do, but he did keep the clean sheet. But then again, Palace, they didn't even have a shot on target technically. So Palace were real. I think if we haven't mentioned it already, let's just say Palace were attacking
Yeah,
today.
exactly.
They were awful, but you could attribute that down to our defense being just really, really solid today. But yeah, so speaking of the defense, let's get into the rating
Yeah, yeah.
of the
We
defense,
were.
and let's save Chilwell to last and go with Aspi. How would you? I mean, for me, it was typical Aspi performance. How did you find it?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree that it was a car as performance, no fault, um, nothing extraordinary, but he just did his work. He did his work along the wing. When, like I said, when I saw him starting ahead of James, I was a bit surprised, but he still offers a much secure. like he does um mistakes less often. He hardly does mistakes. I don't remember the last match. I know he has done mistakes in the past, but I can't point to any match recently that he has any mistakes at the back. But with Reese is also sometimes a bit confident at the back, but he also tends to make mistakes, and that's probably normal because he's younger and less experienced than Aspi. But Aspi was very very solid today, moving forward. And there were sometimes he was in the box, like for example with Chilwell's goal, he was the one that took the first shot that ricocheted onto from the defender and onto Chilwell. So he was solid. He was solid at the back. He was keeping Zaha quiet time, and I think because of him, we didn't even see Ayu throughout the whole game. He was practically kept Ayu out of the. Ayu was one of the few. I think according to scorecard, Ayu was one of the few. Was one of the Palace players that had the fewest touches in the game, and that was thanks to us. I give him a 7 at the past.
I think yeah, that's a very fair rating. I would go with a 7 as well. I mean, we've seen in recent weeks, and I thought even today that Ayu and Eze, they've done well for Palace over the past couple of weeks. Especially Eze's been. I mean, I thought even today Eze actually played okay. In the second half, though, to get away from
Yeah,
Aspi, he was pretty much dropping to more of a cam or central midfield position because just there's just no way past Aspi. So it was a trademark Ads performance, getting forward, doing the right things in attack, and then also being defensively solid. And yeah, we're just so lucky to have a player like him that you could just when we need a bit more defensive reinforcement at the back, you can just throw him in there and he'll be pretty consistent as well. That's something that it's it's not underrated. I think everyone knows it, but it's a great thing to have. Moving to the left, I mean, it was a much better, I mean, less controversial game from Thiago Silva compared to his debut against West Brom. But how would you rate Thiago Silva's performance tonight or today?
yeah. Him and Zuma were fantastic at the back. They were solid. Nothing was going through them. I think apart from the Zaha chance that he had, I don't think Crystal Palace had any chances. Their set pieces were headed out. Their crosses were blocked. Everything was just solid at the back. So I gave him a 7. I gave Silva a 7, just like us. I felt like he had a good game, nothing extraordinary, but he did pretty well with some solid tackles and some solid clearance and some good, surprisingly good balls forward, and that
I
was
was
nice.
going to say that as well, actually. I'm glad you noticed it as well. Like his passing. Also, I think in this game he was played against West Brom. He was played on the left side, and that's not the side that he's very comfortable on. It's not the side that he's played with PSG for. Normally he has Kimbembe to the left of him, and he plays at right centre back. And tonight we saw him at right centre back with Zuma. And I gotta say, I totally agree with, especially the passing point. He he just tries some passes that and pulls them off that we don't really. I don't know. We're kind of used to the cross field ball, but he's very good at his over like passing, essentially getting the ball over the Palace defensive line. He did that a couple of times and pulled it off every time, or pretty much every time. It was really good to see, and that
Yeah,
experience he has it just radiates basically when you can see it so easily. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7 as well. He was
yeah,
class act today, and then
yeah. Also, I want to add that I'm just so grateful. I just thank God that we finally stopped passing the those backwards passes that we used to do at the beginning of the season when Kepa was in goal. We pass to Kepa and Kepa passes to the defender and we start our play. It seems like the introduction of Thiago Silva has stopped that because instead of going back a lot, we move forward. So yeah, I think that's also part of his passing ability. He doesn't have to send it to the defender for the start the attack. He's the one or to build up play. He's the one actually starts it instead of sending it back. So there are less mistakes that to happen from the the goalkeeper.
indeed, yeah, it's we don't want to force mistakes. But I thought, I mean, Mendy's long passing was okay, but it's when yeah. So I don't really have anything much to add on that. But yeah, it was nice to see how direct we were today as well. Moving a bit to the left of Thiago Silva, we're going. How would you have rated Zuma's performance? I thought, I mean, obviously, I think we'll give him a high rating because of his goal and all. But how would you rate his performance?
Yeah, yeah. I think him and Silva were similar in performance, but Coffee's goal, I'll give him an 8. That was a well. Before that, he had a cross that he headed wide, and I think he wanted to make amends from a corner, and he wanted to make amends for that chance that he wasted, and he buried a second goal, and it was fun to see. The thing I love about Zuma is that he's not he's not that kind of defender who decides to let's say sort of clearing the lines. He decides to dribble yeah, he had one moment against Ajax that he was suddenly Ronaldinho, but he's not that kind of defender. You see, when he's met with a problem or something, he just clears the ball out, and I love that about him. He's always safe than sorry, and yeah, he had a solid performance. It's the same things I said with Silva. The same thing
Yeah,
applies, but because of his, I gave him an 8.
yeah. I'm gonna. I'm sorry, to our viewers. I'm sorry that I'm not offering too much of a different opinion, but I can't disagree with Amart saying it's just all spot on. I give him an 8 as well. It's just, I mean, his positioning as well. I think that it really, compared to Rudiger and Christensen, where they'll find themselves out of position or they'll make a mistake. You rarely see Kudzuma out of position, and he always does the right thing, and he always plays it safe, like you say. So it's just such a great player to have in the team, and he's not old as well. He's going to get better, to even better, hopefully. So it's, yeah, I was really happy with his performance too, because I mean, we've kind of gone over Chilwell already, but I mean, but you can still justify your rating, but just less so, because we'll try and move up the field a bit. But how would you rate Chilwell's performance today? It's pretty obvious, but
Yeah, yeah. Sure, I nearly gave him a 10 out of 10, but I decided to give him a 9 because it wasn't a 10 would be for like a spectacularly good performance, but 9 was just good. He had a goal and an assist on his Premier League debut. Fantastic. Yeah, so I give him a 9.
honestly, yeah, it's totally fair. He was man of the match. He kicked off. I mean, he scored the most important goal, breaking through, getting the first one. After we scored the first goal, we just looked so confident, and it was fine to get the second, third, and fourth. So I'm gonna give him a 9.5, because I genuinely don't think he could have done much else right. He did pretty much everything right today, and he was really, really important in. He played a huge role in getting a win that was just so important. So it's a bit it's a bit of heart in this rating, but I'll give him a 9.5. And then moving further forward, let's go with firstly let's go Jorginho. I mean, got a couple of penalties in there, nice stat padding right there. But how would you rate Jorginho today?
Yeah, I give him a 7 as well. Because yeah, the penalties won were probably we credited to Kai, and because he wasn't part of winning those penalties, but he was he was calm and collected behind the ball, and he slotted home those balls, and he scored both goals. So he had a solid performance. Also, he was surprisingly strong in his tackles. He didn't lose possession often. He was winning possession more, and yeah, I think he did very very well today. He also did well plus his 2 goals. So I gave him a 7.
Yeah, it's fair. He was doing all the things that you expect Jorginho to do, winning the ball, distributing it. I'm gonna go a bit higher. For me, I thought he was. I mean, there are normal Jorginho performances where he's kind of good. He's a bit slow. He positions himself not so well and then that kind of shows how paceless he really is. I thought today it was just. I mean, I was so happy with him. I thought, I don't know, he's just he would get. I mean, I think Mendy would pass quite a ball, pass. Sorry, he would drop back, and then Mendy would play the ball to him a couple of times, and he would come out and just start our attacks. And I was just, I don't know, he does it a lot in normal in games normally, but I don't know. Today it just felt like Jorginho at his best today. Aside from the penalties, for me at least. I mean,
Yeah,
so I think I'll give him an 8. Just that's I can't remember. I mean, how many tackles or interceptions he put in, but I just felt like he was always in control. And when Jorginho's always in control, he's always playing well. So it's and yeah, today I thought he was great. So I'll give him an 8, but I think even a 7 is a fair rating. And moving to his partner today, Kante.
yeah,
I mean, what did you think of him today?
yeah. Kante, like as typical performance, you know what to expect from those two. Rarely do they do mistakes, and rarely do they have a bad game. But he was also spectacular in the midfield as usual, winning tackles, spreading play, and uh, I see the thing is Kante is he always acts as that fifth man in defense, and I love it. Today we saw a lot of that from him, and he was excellent on the ball. So I gave him an 8. But it was unfortunate that he went out with a tie. But I think it came out that he had a tie. I just hope it's not serious because you seriously need him in the team this season. You could see last season how we suffered without him. So I just hope it's not a long term thing. He can return
Yeah,
quickly.
well, I hadn't heard about that, so I'm a little bit worried. But I do hope. I mean, he has got 2 weeks of recovery with no playing, unless he does get called up for the French team. So we can hope that he doesn't get overused for them, and he can just come back fit and healthy. I didn't notice. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I didn't have so much time. I don't know. I just wasn't looking at Kante's performance too much. But mainly, I don't know. It's just that kind of performance where he's under the radar, he's winning balls over, and you kind of just you stop noticing it because you're getting so used to his level,
Yeah,
and it's I'm guilty of it for sure. But I'll give
yeah,
him a
exactly.
7 because, or I'll give him a 7 because to me I didn't. It's my fault at least. I mean he made some good dribbles, did some good did things that you expect Kante to do, but and so yeah, it's just a solid performance from him. So I'll give him a 7. Now we'll get into the attack, and we'll go. Firstly, we'll go with the man of the moment. All the rumors are on him right now. And how did you think Hudson-Odoi got on today?
Yeah, although in the first half he was very very lively, he was very very active, but I felt like most of his runs were didn't result in much. In the second half, he was much more improved, much more solid, and much more composed on the ball. And he, like I said, he had a cross that nearly resulted in a goal by Tommy. And then his hard work was what even led to Chilwell's goal in the beginning. I give him a 7. I give him a 7. No, I'll give him a 7.5. But I think he did very very well today, and he kind of like proved why he needs to start and he needs to stay instead of going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I agree. It's he was especially in the second half. He raised his level, and he offered today as well that 1v1 ability that no one really else in that lineup really has. So it's very refreshing to see other than just spamming crosses all the time. It was good to see, and yeah, I really hope we don't let him go to Bayern as well. Uh, it would be a travesty, and also with having only 2 proper wingers, it'll be a bit worrying. And I'll give him a 7 as well. I didn't think. I mean, the first half he was a bit average. I thought maybe not average, but just didn't really stick out so much. Not too many great contributions. And in the second half, he really turned it on. But I do really want to see him get a bit more clinical. Like his shots, he's not very good at finding the corner with his shots. At least in most of the game, in the shots I see him take. And I really hope he. I mean, he's only 19 years old. He'll get better in it. But if he can do that, honestly, he'll be amazing. He'll be really, really amazing. But he's got so much time to develop. He's only 19. Moving to a bit to the central position. I mean, Kai Havertz today, he seemed like he ran the show in attack.
Yeah, he did. I think probably apart from the Barnsley game, which is definitely a Carabao game, a League Cup game, he, probably his best performance for Chelsea in the Premier League, because finally he's playing in his position, and you could clearly see that he was very, very comfortable in the number 10 role. He was just composed. I think we spoke enough about him. And he was really, really composed on the ball, and he just had this aura of just confidence, and he was just sure of him. He knew his talents, and he executed his tasks very, very well. So yeah, I gave him an 8 because I think he was one of our standout performers.
That's fair. I think I'll agree with you on that one. He, without getting a goal or assist, he still influenced the game hugely with his great. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep repeating, but yeah, his decision making and his intelligence is just combined with his dribbling.
But he technically had an assist. Sorry for. He technically had an
Yeah,
assist.
yeah,
The penalty.
exactly. And he seems to be such a natural with putting the ball through players' legs, and yeah, he just influenced the game so much today. And that number 10 spot just looks his. It belongs to him. And so yeah, I just can't wait to see what we're gonna see from him for the rest of the season. And I'll give him an 8 as well. He was just real class act, same as I think it's fair to give him the same as Jorginho for me. And then moving a bit to the left again, I mean, it was a frustrating day for Werner again. We didn't quite see that clinical finishing, or yeah, I mean, we saw a bit of. I think there were a couple of times he would chase down the ball and he really showed his pace. But would you say again that it just wasn't his day today?
Yeah, I think you said it earlier in the podcast, but he needs time. He definitely needs time. It's longer than we expected, but like I think I tweeted out, or I think I posted somewhere that we really, really, really needed, especially the first half just proved that we really, really needed a pre. We needed a preseason for Lampard to be able to see what works, for the players to be able to integrate very, very, the new players to be able to integrate well with the team. It just looks like we are playing a preseason within the league. This first few games feel like they are preseason games. We he's one of the players that would have benefited a lot, because Lampard would have known where exactly to play him, where exactly works for him, and he too, he would have known what his roles were quicker, and then all those. But yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't. You see, the thing about Werner is this: Werner brings two things to the table. He's hardworking off the ball. He's very, very hardworking. He falls back a lot to defend, tries to win tackle, tries to lay um, passes off fellow players to open attack or to open defenses. And then two, he scores goals. But so far, we've only seen the first part, and we've not seen the latter. And the latter to take time for him. But unfortunately, today wasn't. I give him a 6.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 as well. I think it's. Oh no, I'll go 5.5 just because he really should. He got played one time through and from Havertz, and he really should have done better than shooting in the corner. But
Yeah, yeah,
it is going to
should
take
have scored
time.
that.
We can all see that there's a great player in there, and he's not failing. He's not missing loads of chances. It's just he's gonna goals are gonna take time for him. But I'm sure I think everyone knows once the goals start coming, that it's not gonna stop, and he's gonna just be he'll eventually get. I completely trust him to get to the numbers that, or get close at least to the numbers that he's got in Germany. He's just gonna need some time, say, to
Yeah,
adjust, and he's playing out technically a bit out of position. I mean, a left winger in a left winger in a 4-2-3-1, he's never really played there, so it's going to take time for him to adjust and for sure get goals eventually. I'll give him I think a 5.5 just because he should have done better with that one chance. Now moving to the strike position, we said before we would also talk about the penalty. Do you think? I mean, was it right for Tammy Abraham to go up to Jorginho and kind of at demand that he should have taken the penalty?
Yeah, I'll not say it was right or wrong. I think he has every right to go and ask for the penalty. If he wants to take it, he has every right to go and ask Jorginho to give it to him. But the way he reacted when he didn't get it, and I think it affected his mood throughout the game. Clearly see that it affected his mood throughout the game. Even when Jorginho scored, you could see he celebrated with him, but you could see on his face that he wanted that. And yeah, I don't know. And I love how Aspi handled that situation. He stepped in and he just gave the ball to Jorginho. Jorginho is our penalty taker, so no matter what, Jorginho is definitely supposed to take it. I even wanted personally, I even wanted Werner to take it, but Werner didn't go near. Um, it's understandable for Tammy to try and score the second one, to take the second one because he won the first one, so it's probably fair to give him a shot to score the second one. But I don't know. It wasn't a good look for Tammy because he's not as we have a designated.
Yeah.
Even I think after Jorginho, it's Werner, it's not Tammy. So even if Jorginho doesn't take it, Werner is supposed to. So I don't know why he was there in the first. He has a right to do that, and I don't blame him for that.
Yes, when you're a striker, you have this obsession for goals, and I can totally understand Tammy's frustration at not being able to score, not having the opportunity to take the penalty, especially when he won the first penalty. But at the end of the day, like I say, we have a designated penalty taker for a reason, and because he's so amazing at penalties. And the designated penalty taker, it doesn't apply just for the first penalty; it applies for all of them. So it's like just let him do it, and Tammy will, I'm sure, will get his chance. I'm sure the goals will come to him. I didn't catch. Sorry.
And also sorry, I also feel like they really haven't developed a rapport between themselves to be able to be comfortable in taking decisions like this because I feel like because they are all young, um, Jorginho seems a bit older, but he's also relatively young, and so it seems like they really haven't um, gelled well together. I remember the days of Zuma. Sorry, I remember the days of Drogba, Lampard, Bala. There wasn't really any debate when it came to penalty. Like they knew Lampard, if he had two penalties, Lampard would play one, Drogba would play one. If he had sometimes Balak would play. I hardly saw any squabbles when it came to penalty. You could see that they had an understanding that okay, Balak would take this, Drogba would take this time. Even though Lampard was a designated penalty taker, we had other. There were sometimes Anelka also took penalty and all that. So I don't think it's the same now because it's fixed that if Jorginho is playing, he's going to play, he's going to take the penalty. Like last season, when Willian is playing, Willian is going to take the penalty. But I think there should be an understanding between them already so that they will know that, okay, they wouldn't be so goal hungry. They'll be like, okay, I've taken the first penalty. Let me give it to take. Let me give it to Werner. Like that mentality should be there, like how it was in the past. But probably I'm old school, but I just think it should be like that. And I don't know. I feel like we should go back to the days where if you want a penalty, you take the penalty. I think that would be even better.
Yeah, part of me wishes that too. It also kind of gave the vibes of the Champions League game last year, where Barkley took the penalty, but and missed when Willian was like harassing him for about a couple of minutes, just saying, "Oh, do you really want to take the penalty?" And then even though Jorginho was still on the pitch, it kind of gave me those vibes. But it was great to see that Aspi came on and just communicated clearly.
Yeah.
We've in the past we felt like we've missed that, so it was good to see. Now, I think we're gonna so we're gonna finish reviewing this game and look a bit look at what's happened with Chelsea outside of our fixtures and look to the future. But before we do that, Amart, if you had to pick a man of the match, who would you have picked?
Clear
Yeah,
answer. Chilwell. We've spoken a lot about him, so I don't want to go deep into it. But I think he had the
I
best
agree.
performance today.
It was a complete performance from him. He barely put a foot wrong, and goal and assist, the opening goal too. it was a perfect day for him. So
We didn't rate. We didn't rate Tommy. I gave him a
I
six, a
forgot about
6.5.
that. I'll give Tammy a 6 as well. It was he had some very good not interaction. He had some very good involvements in the play, doing some good knockdowns for Chilwell to get his goal, and just in general, I thought his hold-up play was decent tonight. I don't know. I find his heading is a bit of a weakness of his. He doesn't head the ball so well, but as long as he's improving on it, like he clearly is today, I'm really happy for him. So I'm going to give him a 6 as well. It definitely wasn't a bad day for him, and if he had scored a penalty, I probably would have given him a 7 or an 8. But I was happy for him. So that concludes our ratings for today. I think we're going to move on a bit and talk about what the Champions League draw and looking ahead to our international break. Now, Amart, so it looks like we've drawn Sevilla, uh, Krasnodar. I think they're I think it's a Russian team. I can't remember. I think it's a Russian team. And Rennes. So, what are your thoughts on getting those teams? Hello, Amart. I can't hear you. Amart, I can't really hear you. Hello. Yeah, I can hear you now. I
Can you
think
hear
you
me?
just dropped out a bit.
Yeah, I was at the yeah. So like I was saying, it's technically on paper it's supposed to be one of the easiest groups on paper because there are more difficult groups in the team in the group stages. But this is Chelsea. We never know with Chelsea. We never know the kind of Chelsea that comes play. But if we continue playing like how we played today, and this is the reason why I don't like the international break because it just cuts or slows down any momentum because it looked like we're building something with this game, and then international break just comes after a lot of things. But if we continue playing like how we did today, dominating the game and taking our chances, this group should be easy to win. Probably Sevilla might give us the toughest defense, but I think Krasnodar. I've not really seen much about Krasnodar, and I haven't seen much of Rennes or as well. So, but it's crazy. We took Mendy from Rennes, and now he's going to face his old team, and that'll be very very interesting to see.
But yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
think no group in the Champions League is truly easy, unless your name is Bayern Munich. But yeah, it's with all the players that we've got so many Champions League experienced players in our team now compared to last year. At least we should really be winning. I mean, I would like to think we'd win the group, but you never know. We might have some upsets at some point. And Sevilla, they always want to try and get third anyway, so they can go into the Europa League. Yeah, they got
Europa
to get
League.
that Europa League. So yeah, it's
They're probably tired of winning the Europa League now.
but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun one. I can't wait to have Champions League back at Chelsea, and especially with all these world class players, that all these Champions League experienced players we have. So it's going to be a fun one. And at least we didn't avoid. At least we
Yeah.
avoided the group of death that Man United have got, eh?
Oh, that group. I'm looking at it right now, and man, I don't know. Probably Paris Saint-Germain is coming for a revenge after the United knocked them out like last week or so, and then they have Leipzig and then Istanbul, Başakşehir. So I don't know. Their group is very very
Yeah.
difficult. Very very difficult.
At least if we don't get out of ours, I hope Man United don't get out of theirs. Otherwise, we'll look very. Yeah.
No, we'll definitely get out because ours on paper is an easy group. We need to at least finish second, or we if we can't finish first, we need and I hope we finish first so we can get a good draw for the round. But if we finish second, we might meet a tough opposition. So
Yeah,
just hoping we finish first.
just like last year. But yeah, that's what we can't wait for that. The first game is on the 20th of October, but before then we've got the international break. Yay! Yeah, exactly right.
Boo.
We don't want it. It's not coming at a good time for us, but it means that by the time it comes back, we'll have
At all.
everyone. Hopefully, will be fighting fit. But yeah, looking forward to the international break for sure. I think Ziyech has apparently been called up for the Morocco team, so we'll have some good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very,
he's
very
not
worried
so
about
good.
that.
I think are you happy to see like Mount and Tammy Abraham get called back again to the England team?
Yeah, I think it's good for them career wise. It's good for their individual careers, and I think it's something that they take a lot of pride in playing for the national team. So it's good for them. But for Chelsea, I'm just praying that they come back without injuries. That's all. If they come out without injuries, I think that will be a win. I think that was one of the reasons why Lampard didn't play Ziyech um, today, because Ziyech was supposed to return because he trained um, Pulisic and the team over the week. They were supposed to return, but I'm very, very sure that Lampard just wants to show to the Moroccan team that he's not ready, or the Moroccan coach that he's not really ready to play. So I don't know. And he's their star player. He's their main man. So if they leave him out, that'll be very difficult. The same with Kante after going out with an injury today. We don't know whether he might play or not, but he's also one of their main people to start. So just hoping they come back without injuries, like with the previous international break. No one came back with. I'm just hoping it's the same this time.
I agree. Yeah, that's the main aim with really, and it's well for sure we'll be looking in our next episode. We'll be reviewing some of the performances from the England team, the Germany team. Probably we'll be looking at Ziyech's performances, Pulisic probably as well. I can't remember if he has any. If he'll be playing for the American team if they have any international friendlies. But that's all to come on the CFCTALK podcast in the next couple of weeks. And I think finally I think we're coming towards the end of this podcast now. And before we do end, I wanted to firstly do some shout outs. First, I mean, there's a couple of guys on here who the work I think it goes a bit unnoticed with. And those guys are for sure Adam and Devan. Like you guys, you do a fantastic job with your edits, and it's like the quality that you really output is it's amazing, really. So I'm really happy that we have you guys on the CFCTALK team, and it's long may it continue for sure. And also Mohammad as well, who's sadly not here, but he'll be. I'm sure in a couple of weeks he'll be back, and we'll have more interesting questions and funny takes, and most importantly, very smooth transitions. uh, but yeah, but yeah, we'll have him back in a couple of weeks. But shout out to him for sure. Right, before we end on that, and before we end on this podcast for today, Amar, is there anything else you'd like to, anything you've found that you'd like to talk about?
No, not really. We won, so Twitter was less toxic
Yeah,
this time. So nothing to say about.
interesting. Mount didn't even come off the bench. I think that's the only third time in his whole Chelsea career so far that he's not played or even come on as a sub. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, pretty interesting.
Crazy.
But hopefully after the international break, we'll see him back, and hopefully, I mean, I hope he gets some minutes for England, but hopefully he'll get some long earned rest as well, and we'll see a fully fresh Mount against Southampton. Right, I think we're going to call it on that one, and once again, I'd really like to thank Amart again, mate. It's been a blast having you on here tonight, and it's it's always great to talk about a Chelsea win, and yeah, this was a really fun one for me, and I hope it was for you.
Yeah, it was likewise the same thing. It's always a blast to be on. I just love talking to Chelsea with you guys. Mohammed is not around, but I just love talking to Chelsea with you, and yeah, Always fun to talk about it, especially when we
Exactly.
win.
It was a good night. It was a good one to record. Right. And on that note, I'd like to thank you again, the listener, for if you have got to the end of this podcast. If you do get to the end of this, you're an absolute legend, and just keep looking forward to the content that we're going to be putting out over the next couple of weeks, and yeah, and so forth. We're going to be looking at the international break. We're going to do a bit of a review of the Chelsea season so far, and that's all to come in the next couple of weeks. And right, so we're going to end on that one. And I'd like to thank you again, listener, for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye. Ta-da.